going on YouTube? It is Repulse back in another video. In today's video, we have another Chelsea major news video. Obviously, I was gone for a couple of days. I was out of town, so it's pretty much everything gathered up from the last couple of days. So it's going to be a very lengthy news video with a lot of information on it, but it's all going to be jumbled up together, so it's going to be pretty easy to understand because it's all chronological. In terms of the players and their development, so a lot of outgoings, a lot of incomings. So yeah, let's just jump into it, starting with our incomings in Xavi Simons and Joao Hato. This was Wednesday or Thursday, I believe. Ben Jacobs said that Chelsea are in club-to-club talks for Xavi Simons and Joao Hato, basically saying we're negotiating with both clubs at the same time. There's competition from other clubs. As we know, Bayern Munich was in for Xavi Simons, and we don't know about Joao Hato, but both players are keen on a Premier League move. Bobby Vincent said that Chelsea initiate talks with Ajax over a Joao Hato move, as Fabrizio Romano called. The Blues are discussing the fee with Ajax, the Dutch club, for the 19-year-old. Also, the latest on Xavi Simons with an agreement on personal terms very close. The 22-year-old wants to move and was an avid follower of Chelsea growing up. Fabrizio said that Chelsea will keep pushing for Xavi Simons into Thursday and more. So yeah, this was on Wednesday. And then on Hato, I can tell you that yes, he's already agreed salary and contract, but also told the Ajax staff he wants to join Chelsea too. Chelsea want to do business around £35 million, while Ajax want more, but the clubs have a good relationship, basically saying that this deal will most likely end up happening because the clubs have a good relationship, so no one's really going to walk away from negotiations. But there's still more on both of them. Ben Jacobs said, I think on Thursday, that Chelsea, or Friday, that Chelsea are working hard to try to complete both Xavi Simons and Hato. If they do that, their incomings will be all but done, unless they decide to move for a goalkeeper or decide they need another number 9 should both Nkunku and Jackson go. Basically saying, if these two get brought in, we're most likely not doing another deal for the rest of the summer, unless both attackers leave, and we might look back to another striker. Just because we do want that 3-striker rotation. So it really is dependent on Nkunku and Jackson leaving, if we do get another player other than both Xavi Simons and Joao Hato. But more, Fabrizio, this was, I believe, Friday. He said that nothing has stalled or stopped for Hato and Simons because it was a very slow news day on the two of them. It's just a negotiation. Sometimes you don't close deals in 24 or 48 hours. Chelsea want to spend around 40 million euros for Hato. Ajax want more. My feeling is it will happen, and I have the same feeling for Simons. With Xavi, there are two discussions ongoing at the same time, one for him and one for Carney Chukwuemeka. We know that Leipzig are in for Carney Chukwuemeka, but at the same time we are in for Xavi Simons, so most likely exploring to see if there's a possibility of a swap deal, but obviously Carney Chukwuemeka is the deciding factor on that if he wants to head over to Leipzig or, stay and try to get bought by Borussia Dortmund, which we will actually talk about later in this video. More, Chelsea are working hard to try to complete. Oh, sorry, I repeated that. Forget that one. Now just on Xavi Simons, Ben Jacobs said that Chelsea are set to make an opening bid for Xavi Simons. Personal terms are close to being in place after positive talks in the last 24 hours. Bayern have also inquired. However, Xavi Simons is leaning towards the Premier League. Arsenal also keen, but haven't started any talks yet. We know that they talked to his agent, but haven't really started anything with Leipzig, so most likely Xavi Simons heading to Chelsea. More, Fabrizio said that Chelsea and Leipzig continue direct club-to-club talks for Xavi Simons' deal. Leipzig is aware of Xavi being very keen on the move and tempted by Chelsea. Bayern have made calls to be informed this week, but Chelsea clear favorites, already in talks with players green light, basically saying he's open to the move. He wants to come to Chelsea. And Chelsea are clear favorites to get this deal across the line, despite the interest from Bayern Munich and Arsenal. More, Florian Plettenberg said Chelsea start club-to-club official talks for Simons. An offer is expected soon. However, Bayern have held calls today about the situation of Simons. Let's see if/how they respond. And we know that pretty much Xavi Simons rejected Bayern Munich at this point. Pretty much just set on joining Chelsea, and we can expect this deal to happen. More, a quick agreement for Simons to any club is currently not expected. Leipzig feel no pressure and want their price tag of £60 million to be met. Simons' agents and employee of Ari Barat are at the training camp. Bayern's still very interested. We know that Bayern Munich did end up getting rejected, though. And then Fabrizio said, I believe this was yesterday, that understand Chelsea and Leipzig are now in advanced talks for Xavi Simons. Negotiations club to club progressing well, still work to do, but heading in a positive direction. Xavi keen on Chelsea project with personal term talks also advanced. And then there was more. Despite negotiations, Xavi Simons is in Leipzig's starting lineup for the friendly against Toulouse, which he actually got 2 assists in, so it was a pretty good performance by him. Still no agreement has been reached, talks are ongoing, while Leipzig continue to demand a total package of 70 million euros, including add-ons. There's still no official bid on the table. And then this is where the Arsenal interest came in. Arsenal interested in Simmons and have talked to his agent, and Bayern have called several times this week to be informed, but Chelsea are clear favorites, basically saying Xavi Simmons is not really looking to move to either of those clubs. He's pretty set on just joining Chelsea altogether. Um, and then this was the key information from yesterday. Fabrizio said, "From what I'm told, Simmons talks are already advancing, and we're talking about the highest people in both clubs talking directly. Chelsea owners and Red Bull Leipzig higher ups. I think this is due to Ari Barat. Obviously, him and Iqbali have a really good business relationship, so I was expecting Iqbali to be involved in this negotiation because I expected Barat to want to go to Iqbali rather than the sporting directors, but it is pretty telling that all our big negotiations are up to the owners and not really the sporting directors because they're supposed to be the ones driving them, but not really going to read into that too much because it seems like RB Leipzig are also negotiating with their high-ups too on the player, so I think everyone, when they read this, expects the deal to go through because Iqbali's not going to let this fall through. But more, Bobby Vincent today said that there's confidence from all sides that Xavi Simons will become a Chelsea player this summer. That means player side, Leipzig side, Chelsea side, we're all pretty confident. So it seems like it's just a matter of when. Because I think we all expect Xavi Simons to end up wearing blue on his shirt this summer. But hopefully it's in the coming days so he can join us for preseason. More, Bobby Vincent said broad terms are in place between Xavi Simons and Chelsea on personal terms. Basically saying personal terms are agreed. Just waiting for the final details. So probably salaries agreed. It's just the incentives that need to be agreed to. But broad terms are in place so we can expect Xavi Simons' personal terms to be agreed sometime soon. Moving over to Joao Hato, there was a lot on Joao Hato, so I'm just going to read all the news. Chelsea are in advanced talks, and then he made it clear that he's wanted to leave. He went to Ajax's front office pretty much and said, "Hey, I want to leave the club. I want to go to the Premier League. I want to go to Chelsea." And then in the negotiations, Ajax inquired to Chelsea about Ishe Samuel Smith, who is in talks over a permanent deal to Strasbourg. More. Fabrizio said that Hato's personal terms are on the verge of being agreed. Hato said yes to the Chelsea project. And then this was the first indication of a bid. Chelsea had made an official bid for Hato, which was backed by Fabrizio Romano, but it was eventually rejected. But Fabrizio said that Hato is a top target for our center half position, and he can also cover Cucurella at left back. And then this was pretty big of a bomba. Fabrizio said that Chelsea have reached an agreement on personal terms with Joao Hato, and the defender has asked Ajax to leave. Negotiations are advancing to final stages, as the fee discussed is now around 40 million euros. Hato informed the Ajax management and the manager of his clear desire to join Chelsea, basically saying, "I don't really want to play here anymore. Could you please sell me to Chelsea? That's where I want to be, and I don't really want to stay at Ajax and play another game for the club." And that was pretty evident. As Hato's agent spoke at and said, "Yes, the club has contacted Ajax. The only thing I can say is Joao Hato is now going to talk to Chelsea," which is pretty big because you don't really see Ajax, or I mean, not Ajax, agent statements pretty early on in the negotiation. You pretty much hear them when they're all done and dusted. So I think everyone expected to "here we go," but we just haven't got it quite yet. But more, obviously, Chelsea in advanced talks for Joao Hato after agreeing terms with the Ajax defender today. It follows a fresh approach last week. Ajax originally asked for £50 million plus, but Chelsea are optimistic of getting a deal for less. Hato has made it clear that he wants to join Chelsea. And then Fabrizio said that Joao Hato could be a "here we go" very soon. He asked Ajax to join Chelsea. He wants the Chelsea project as soon as possible. Xavi Simons also close to Chelsea. Conversations underway with the player. So everyone was expecting a "here we go" in the coming days, but we just haven't got it quite yet. And this is probably why. Chelsea value the Ajax defender at around £35 million. The benchmark is the 38.5 that Arsenal paid Ajax for Jurriën Timber. Hato has told Ajax he wants to leave. Chelsea have lots of center back options, so can maintain discipline on valuation and potential Hato deal. I like these benchmarks that we're using. I like that we're pretty set on, hey, y'all let this player go for this price, and we value this player around the same value that player left for us. So we're only going to pay you as much as you let that player go for. And in this case, it's Jurriën Timber who left for 38.5 million. So Chelsea are going to the negotiations like, Jurrien Timberley for 38.5. We think Hato and Jurrien Timber are similar players, so we're gonna start at 35, but we're only gonna go up to this 38.5 as of now, at least. But um, yeah, I do like the benchmarks because it does put Ajax kind of backed into a corner. Um, and yeah, more. ESPN Netherlands said that Ajax rejected the bid from Chelsea for Hato instead of a counter offer back to London. Um, and I guess we haven't really accepted that counter offer yet, but um, Ajax did not feature Hato in their squad. I believe this was Friday. So yeah, Hato is not in the Ajax squad, and everyone knows why because obviously he's on the verge of moving to Chelsea. And Sky Kave today said that it's understood Chelsea are ready to pay 44 million for Joao Hato, but Ajax are holding out for around 52. But I expect Ajax to come down to, I think 45 is going to be where the clubs meet, and I expect this deal to be done then. But moving on to Renato Vega, his deal collapsed a couple days ago as Atletico Madrid signed David Hanko from Feyenoord on a 30 million euro fixed fee. And it's a new center back for Simeone. However, the deal being off won't stop Chelsea for advancing in Joao Hato talks, which we know. Chelsea want Hato negotiations are well underway with Ajax after the player's green light. The deal is absolutely on, despite Vega not heading off to Atletico Madrid. And then there are other Chelsea interests. Obviously, sources are confident that Chelsea can strike a deal to sign Simmons, but they also retain an interest in Alejandro Garnacho and Morgan Rogers, which I only expect to be expressed if Xavi Simmons does not come through the door. But we all expect Xavi Simmons to become a Chelsea player, so I don't expect any advancements on the players listed here in Morgan Rogers and Alejandro Garnacho. Although I do hope that Morgan Rogers does become a Chelsea player at some point in his career because it's pretty evident he wants to be here. But Alejandro Garnacho you could kiss goodbye to, thankfully. Moving on. I don't know why, but a couple days ago, Fabrizio keeps saying, "Do not forget about the situation, Garnacho." Chelsea are still following the situation closely, although we haven't really made an inquiry or anything, so I don't know about that. But whatever. Doesn't seem like Garnacho's coming to Chelsea, so nothing to really worry about. Moving on though. Chelsea will offset their spending with over 200 million in sales, and these are all the clubs listed that have an interest in Nkunku, which feature Bayern Munich, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, and clubs in Italy. Which is pretty interesting. I guess Nottingham Forest thought Morgan Gibbs-White was going to leave, but obviously he re-signed a new deal, so don't expect that interest to be there. Bayern Munich have been interested for 200 years, but maybe Newcastle. That could be a good option, especially if they have Isak money. They might go in for an Nkunku, where he can play Champions League. He can play in a 4-4-2, which is obviously his favored formation. But yeah, it seems like Nkunku could be at the door. Moving on to Joao Felix, who was going to move to Benfica, but we'll talk about this in a sec. Benfica were working on the Joao Felix deal, and then apparently they were going big for Joao Felix and are in contact with George Mensch to try to make it happen. They don't have crazy money, but they're really trying. And then Al Nassr are close to signing Joao Felix after outbidding Benfica. Talks have advanced this week. Chelsea are set to receive over £40 million. Fabrizio said Al Nassr are in advanced talks to sign Joao Felix and hijack Benfica's move. Understand Al Nassr have sent permanent deal proposal to Chelsea and contract proposal to Joao Felix. The agreement is close as final details are set to be discussed in the next 24 to 48 hours. Followed up by Fabrizio saying that Joao Felix is keen on the Al Nassr move and has opened the doors. He's excited to play with Cristiano Ronaldo, who's the player who pretty much brought Felix to Al Nassr, and the green light was given by the player. And then Ben Jacobs said the Al Nassr package to Chelsea is around £48 million for Joao Felix, and all parties optimistic the deal will get done. And then we had Fabrizio say, Joao Felix to Al Nassr, we got the here we go. The initial transfer fee was worth £26 million plus add-ons and a heavy sell-on clause to meet Chelsea £43 million valuation in the future. It's €30 million up front and then €20 million in add-ons, which obviously equates to £43 million. And then we still have a sell-on clause. And we also got £5 million from AC Milan to move him over there for the winter. So in total, we got around £48 million, and then we still have a sell-on clause. So if they do send him back to Benfica or something like that, we will get some money from that. So good deal for our parties involved. Joao Felix is headed off to Saudi Arabia. Good riddances. I wish him well. I don't think he'd really be all that great there, because I do think he's best when he's in Portugal with his family near him and an arm around his shoulder. I think that's really what he needs. I talked about this on my Twitter yesterday, but yeah, seems like he needs just a tight squeeze to really succeed, and I don't think he'll have that in Saudi Arabia. But the level of competition isn't really all that great there, so you can see him succeed there. But yeah, didn't work out at Chelsea. Chelsea cashed in and get more money in than what they paid for him, so fair dues to them in that negotiation. But more. Ben Jacobs said that Joao Felix has been given permission to undergo his Al Nassr medical. The total package with add-ons is worth around £48 million, and they also retain a sell-on clause. There's a little bit of a discrepancy, 43 to £48 million, but anywhere between there, I think Chelsea fans are happy with. Made a profit on Joao Felix somehow, even though he only played a couple games at Chelsea last season in the Conference League, and then a couple in the Premier League. But yeah, add-ons. Worth around 88 or 48 million, which is a great sum of money for Joao Felix, who again barely played for us. But yeah, really a good deal, really good to get the money in, and I think that could really accelerate the talks for Xavi Simons and Joao Hato. So best wishes to Joao Felix. Said it didn't work out here because he is a very talented player, but just seems like he really needs to be at home or in a place where he's comfortable, and he hasn't found that yet. But moving on, Fabrizio said that Joao Felix to Benfica was very close, but Cristiano Ronaldo called him, and he said yes to Al Nassr. So yeah, I wonder what that Benfica deal would have been, if it was something similar to that or not. But apparently Cristiano Ronaldo swayed him to not go to Benfica and head over to Al Nassr, which he did. And he's going to undergo his medical very soon, and the deal will most likely be completed at some point in the next week. Now moving on to other players. Fabrizio said that Napoli had been offered the chance to sign Sterling and have asked for deal conditions. Please, Antonio Conte, please save us. That'd be pretty funny if Raheem Sterling meets up with Antonio Conte. But yeah, apparently they're asking for deal conditions. We haven't really seen any developments. But Raheem Sterling will leave Chelsea this summer, and he's been offered to Napoli in the last 48 hours. Napoli are assessing several options as left winger, as not only Sterling, as Ndoye and Kubo remain on the list, and more. Chelsea want a permanent exit, and then more. Fulham have added Raheem Sterling to a list of targets, but will wait until later in the window. I mean, I did make this thing if Bayer Leverkusen came for Raheem Sterling that I'd gift a kit to one of the subscribers, but if it's Fulham, I don't know if I can really do that because it's a rival. So maybe not then. If he goes to Napoli, I'll set something up, but definitely not Fulham. Can't really reward a player heading off to a rival club, but if he does end up going there, I don't think he'd be a bad player there, but I do hope we get a decent sum of money, somewhere around the £20 million mark. But yeah, apparently Fulham may approach Raheem Sterling later in the window, and they are also set to approach Chelsea over Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, says Sky Sports Seth. And that was true because Ben Jacobs followed up with saying Fulham have made a formal approach to sign KDH from Chelsea. Follows an inquiry from West Ham earlier in the window. Chelsea valued Dewsbury-Hall as a squad player, not a name they're actively looking to sell, but an exit is possible at the right price. Would need to be more than £30 million Chelsea paid to Leicester. So yeah, it seems like KDH could be out the door if Fulham do end up paying up that price, which I think everyone would be happy with if we do get that sum of money. Yeah, it's a pretty big heap of money for KDH, who played really well in the Conference League, to be honest. I think he could be good at Fulham. I think he could be a really good player at Fulham at that. Really grew into the Chelsea team later in the season, and I think Maresca trusts him. So again, I really wouldn't be mad if he stays, but I'd definitely take the money that Fulham offer if it's over the amount we paid to Leicester. But moving on, Chelsea midfielder Carney Chukwuemeka is prioritizing a return to Borussia Dortmund over other summer options. And this report is important because obviously if he is not headed over to Leipzig, then it makes the deal with Xavi Simons a lot more complicated. But hopefully he is open to the move, but obviously he is keen on joining Borussia Dortmund again. Just doesn't seem like they have the money to really bring him in. Moving on to Nicholas Jackson. Ben Jacobs said that Villa and United feel they won't move on Jackson at the moment because the price is so high. Chelsea are happy with Jackson and the other two strikers. Maresca also likes Jackson. I don't know if we keep Jackson or not. I could expect him to stay. I could expect him to go. But obviously, if you're a third string striker at a top club, you might want to move and go start somewhere else. And that place might actually be Newcastle, as Craig Hope of the Daily Mail said that Mail Sport can reveal that Nicholas Jackson has been added to Newcastle's list of attacking targets. Um, Obviously, Isak has been heavily linked to Liverpool. I don't think he's going to play another minute um, at Newcastle because pretty much just burnt the bridges at the club saying he wanted to leave. So Nicholas Jackson may potentially be the Isak replacement, and he has been added to their list of attacking targets. But more, Fabrizio said that keep a close eye on Nicholas Jackson. There are now several clubs trying to understand the situation with his agent's camp. This one will be one to watch. Yeah, I think it's pretty much bound to happen at some point that Nicholas Jackson does end up leaving Chelsea, which is sad. Obviously, really helped us bridge that bad gap that we had, moving from 12th to 4th and winning 2 trophies along the way. He was really helpful in that period. Scored what 25 goals, something like that in 2 Premier League seasons, which isn't the worst record, isn't the best record, but it seems like he's pretty much bound to leave Chelsea at this point. So wish him well, especially if it's at Newcastle, because Newcastle is a club that I don't really hate. I definitely wish him well over there. Um, Bobby Vincent did say that Chelsea are planning on Nicholas Jackson being with the rest of the squad for the upcoming season. I don't know how legitimate this is because I could see us planning. Definitely just being like, hey, teams aren't really matching our valuation for Nicholas Jackson, so he's most likely going to stay for next season. But I do think we are actively looking to move him. Not really transfer listing him, but if there's a suitable offer, then again, we're actively looking to move him. But yeah, I don't think anyone's going to meet that valuation until Isak goes. I think Newcastle is going to be the only club to do so. So I think we could wait for that deal to happen for Nicholas Jackson to move, because I do think he would be someone that would end up moving to Newcastle. And that is pretty much everything. I was able to get through a lot in that 22 minutes. Not really an opinion-based video. Opinion-based videos will be back as more news drops, because I'm finally back at home. But yeah, that is everything. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Pretty big news roundup, a lot to go into, and there's going to be a lot to go into moving forward as well. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Happy to be back. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.